Hello guys, Winston here. I know I'm going out of chronological order in recapping my road trip projects, but there are a couple things I want to work out before I release my video with Ben Myers from Arkansas. So in the meantime, let's cut to Texas. On day 7 of my trip, I drove around Houston visiting makers. In the morning, I hit up Jake from Cryptic Works and recorded an episode of the Origin Point podcast with him and Heidi, and in the afternoon, I headed to the south end of Houston to hang out with Mikey the Maker. You may know him from the If You Build It podcast where he converses with Kyle Stumpenhorst and occasionally Edward Ford, but mostly he just kills it on Instagram. Since he has a Shapeoko, we brainstormed about projects we could do that would spare me from having to pull my Nomad out of the trunk. Mikey had this glue up that's scrapped from another project that he wanted to make something out of, and we ended up with the idea to make a case for his Woodpeckers Delve Square. The size of the square and the offcut happened to work out perfectly. Now, a wooden case can be made a number of ways, but I wanted a challenge, so I suggested that we design the case and the lid to be a friction fit. I'm not sure if Mikey had too much faith in me, or if I had too much faith in Mikey's uncalibrated, untuned Shapeoko, but we agreed on the project and immediately began work. But not before I dropped my camera lens, so the footage you'll be seeing today is a combination of Mikey's Sony, my Nikon with a 70 to 300mm telephoto lens, and my iPhone. While Mikey got to work doing stock preparation, I started on the Fusion model. The Delve Square isn't symmetrical. The triangle part of it is offset to the back. The front face of that triangle is at the midplane, so I decided that the triangle would be completely embedded in the back half of the case. I called this side A mainly because I designed this half first. I modeled a rectangular pocket for the base of the square and a shallow recess for the triangle. These were modeled to the Delve Square's exact dimensions, by the way. I wanted the dimensions to be nominal and make any toolpath adjustments purely using stock to leave. This would make dialing in the perfect fit much easier, as I could do it entirely within the cam workspace. This is especially useful if you plan on running the same toolpaths on a different CNC that may not have an identical calibration. You can reset the stock to leave instead of messing with the dimensions. I also chose where I dog-eared my pockets to minimize their visibility. Around the perimeter of the case, I modeled an 1/8 inch ledge. For the flip side, I modeled the inverse of side A sans triangular cutout. On the cam side, I tried to balance speed and accuracy. We'd gotten a later start than I'd hoped, and dinner time was fast approaching, so I wanted to do this quickly. But we were also using adhesive work holding, so I couldn't push as hard as I wanted to. I opted to use only an 1/8 inch end mill, and leaving it in would be faster than switching it out for a 1/4 inch tool. I started with an adaptive clear with pretty middle-of-the-road settings, 50 thou depth of cut and 50 thou optimal load. There's definitely room to go faster with more secure work holding, but I only had one shot to get this right. Mikey didn't have enough stock for a redo. I left about 10 thou stock to leave on all of my roughing operations. My feed rate for the adaptive was 60 inches per minute with room to go higher via feed rate override. Now, the critical part here is to bump up your no engagement feed rates to save time. The stock Shapeoko settings let you push pretty close to 200 IPM rapids. I chose 180 for this program. I used contours and pockets to clean up the walls and the floors respectively. Make sure you check Keep Tool down for your contours unless you want to watch the machine making full retracts and glacially slow plunges. On side B, the only wrinkle was that I had to invert my coordinate system. Mikey's glue-up didn't use equal width strips, so it wasn't symmetrical if you rotated it about the center of the largest walnut strip. You can't mill the case halves in the same orientation, the lid has to be pre-flipped, so to speak. With the stock material planed down to a consistent parallel thickness, I set up a hard stop on the Shapeoko and mounted up the first blank with double-sided tape. I set my zero relative to the center of the big walnut strip, eyeballed a reasonable router speed on the DeWalt, and sent it. The first side's program went off without a hitch, though I wish I'd taken a slightly more aggressive optimal load with my adaptive. I did the next best thing and both increased my router speed and bumped up the feed rate override. Now, as long as the Delve Square fits, the outside ledge doesn't matter. I'll cut the lid to fit that. We swapped in a fresh piece of stock and ran the toolpaths for side B. Once that was finished, I test fit the two halves, keeping the lid on the Shapeoko. It was worse than an interference fit, so I know I had to take a little extra material away. I put in a couple thou of negative stock to leave and reran that toolpath. We got the case fitting in one axis but not the other, so I made a custom contour toolpath that would widen up only the inner lip in the Y direction. And finally, we got the case halves to a light friction fit, just enough to hold the case together. Overall, I really enjoyed the project. Conceptually, it's super straightforward, but getting the pieces to be perfectly snug was extremely satisfying. Also, I enjoyed the challenge of doing the entire project in an afternoon. All too often, I find myself in front of the computer tweaking the model or second-guessing my toolpaths and feeds and speeds. But with the time constraints of my road trip projects, there was no time to worry about these things. I just had to go with my gut and get a toolpath out, and luckily it worked out. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I'll be back with more CNC projects soon.